You got a record to attack.
Yeah, but there's also this. I mean, Romney had 20 debates with other Republicans. And, when he was debating other Republicans, you're doing it in that bubble, that Republican bubble, where they all believe what is on Fox News. It has nothing to do with reality in many cases. It's hermetically sealed. If somebody says, if Mitt Romney says Obama goes around the world apologizing, even though Obama has never apologized around the world, they all nod their heads. If Ron Paul or somebody says that there are hordes of Mexicans trying to get over the fence, we have to stop this influx of immigration of illegals, even though net immigration from Mexico is now zero, they're not. They all nod their head. The facts do not get in that bubble.
So this debate will be different.
I'm just saying, now he has somebody who will be a reality check to the massive amounts of bullshit that he was able to shovel the last time he was debating.
All right, as an Obama supporter, do you have some fears about the debate? I mean,
well, I have fears about the public listening to the debate. I have fears always about the American public. They're not very bright.
What? You're quoting Mencken now? No one ever went broke underestimating the intelligence?
And when he said it, the people were a lot smarter. I mean, that was 100 years ago. They've only gotten stupider, Larry. So if Mencken was around today, he would just start a sentence and go. I mean, they'll watch. I guess some people will watch the debate. They'll judge it based on something super stupid, like Al Gore's sigh, or what tie a guy wore, or some gaffe that doesn't matter, and they'll miss the big picture. And yes, they could very well judge that Mitt Romney won the debate. And I hear people all the time, say, well, the economy's in trouble, and Mitt Romney's a businessman. There you go. What more do you need to know about politics? Businessman, economy in trouble, ergo 1 + 1 = 9. And they will vote for Mitt Romney, even though running Bain Capital has nothing to do with running the government of the United States.
What did you make of the tax returns? Well, the reason was 14%. It was mostly capital gains.
Yes, of course.
Well, capital gains, there was an interesting thing today. Capital gains, the tax was higher in the Clinton administration. It wasn't 15,
Sure.
I think it was higher, and the country did better.
And taxes were higher, and the country did better. I mean, Bill Clinton, you mentioned before I came on, you're going to have Dinesh D'Souza on.
Yeah.
When I had him on a couple of weeks ago, he said something about they never vote, they didn't, the Democrats didn't get one Republican, or the Republicans didn't get one Democrat vote for years, then we would side with them. When Clinton was passing his tax increase in 1993, not one Republican voted for it because they all said it would wreck the economy. Well, look what happened. We had massive prosperity because he raised taxes on the richest people 3%. Of course, it went from 36 to 39 or something like that. It had been 70 under Nixon, 90 under Eisenhower, those commies. So, to 3% among people who will not even notice it's missing. People who have that much money, money comes in, money goes out, they don't see it, they have business managers and people who handle that. Of all the places you could take money, and I'm one of those people,
Yeah.
I know.
Me
I
too.
know the money I don't see.
I don't see it.
You don't see it either.
I know.
That's right. When we go out to dinner, that's why I always make you pay. I'm like, this guy doesn't see it anyway.
Sign it, somebody pays it.
Exactly. So, yes, and that did an enormous amount of good for America.
But I want to ask you, that we'll talk about the Middle East and lots of things. Are there areas, even though you gave $1 million, where Obama has disappointed you?
Of course.
We'll be right back with Bill Maher. We're back with Bill Maher. All right, we've given it to Romney pretty good. Has anything about the president disappointed you?
Absolutely. I mean, I always said he was not going to be chocolate Jesus, and he wasn't. But, what I would defend him on this is when people say, well, he promised change, and then look what happened, we didn't get it. Bullshit. He promised change, and he delivered change. I could go down the list. First of all, he probably stopped a depression, the auto industry bailout, obviously getting bin Laden, getting out of Iraq, health care, something about 8 other presidents had tried and not been able to deliver, credit card reform, Wall Street reform, student loans. There has been change. It's just people, when they hear change, they expect their life to just miraculously go from black
But
and
you
white to
said he
color.
has disappointed you in some.
But he has disappointed. Obviously, the two most egregious examples are civil liberties and the drug war. Now, both cases. Now, you can't blame him from Guantanamo Bay. I heard Romney say that the other night when Scott Pelley confronted him with flip-flopping. He said, "Well, the president has flip-flopped." He said he'd close Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay is open. That's such a typical Mitt Romney oily way of getting at something that is technically true what he said, but not really true. He tried to close Guantanamo Bay. Congress would not let him close Guantanamo Bay. He couldn't do it by himself. Okay, but yes, on civil liberties, he's been just as bad as Bush, which is even scarier, because imagine the worst of George Bush's policies implemented by someone who is smarter than a raccoon. And this is what you have with the president.
In what area?
Well, kill lists. Eric Holder goes into his office and says, "I've got a list of people I'd like to kill. What do you think?" And Obama looks at it and goes, 3, 5, and 7, light them up.
Drones.
Yeah. Sometimes American citizens. Now, I know that we have to fight this war in a little more unconventional ways than we have in the past. But he has not changed much about Bush except for torture. We've stopped torture. We still do rendition. We still send people to get tortured in other countries. So that's one area where
the drug war?
And the drug war is huge. I mean, that's one area where he has completely just out and out lied from what he said in his campaign. He said he wouldn't mess with medical marijuana dispensaries. Well, they cracked down on them. His drug czar, we weren't going to have one of those. We have a drug czar. We have a drug war going on. And I might also add another area where that's dear to my heart where he lied, genetically modified foods. He said we would not be doing what we are doing, which is coddling the people at Monsanto. He basically appointed the lobbyist for Monsanto as the number 2 at the Food and Drug Administration, I believe. So, on a number of these issues, he's had to, I guess, kowtow to, the people who are...
So if he kowtows, you don't blame him as much as Romney when Romney kowtows.
Well, it depends. First of all, you cannot win every battle. I do understand that. Second of all, yes, I do hold his feet to the fire. But, on a whole broad range of issues and a philosophy and a way of dealing with the world and the country, he is far superior. I mean, when you only get 2 choices, Larry, it's not a close one here. It's really not. It's like saying, I'm not thrilled with our babysitter. Tonight, let's just leave the kids on the road. It's not close. So, yes, there are areas where he disappointed me, but in general, I do not have any qualms about voting for Obama over Mitt Romney.
What did you make of the vice presidential selection, Mr. Ryan?
Well, I was kind of hoping for the governor of my home state of New Jersey, Governor Jabba the Hutt. I thought he would be a much more colorful addition to the 3-ring circus that is our national politics. But Paul Ryan is certainly an interesting man. He has the moral core of the pimp from Taxi Driver. This is a guy who will just say anything. I mean, wow. I thought Mitt Romney was a facile liar. This guy just, he even lies about his marathon times. He's just one of those people who I think just when he's speaking, he's lying. He's just, his whole thing about Obama robbing Medicare, you heard that, the exact $716 billion that he put in his budget. This is the line that Clinton had at the convention. Remember, he said, "Oh, it takes some brass to attack a guy for doing what you did." Yeah, it really does take some brass.
Why do you think he appointed him?
Because Mitt Romney is still trying to shore up the base. Because Mitt Romney is so untrusted by the far right of the Republican Party and by the Tea people that he has to constantly be trying to get them. It's like he's still running in the primary. And Paul Ryan is the one who excites them. I mean, when they hear about Paul Ryan, their nipples get hard because Paul Ryan is, he's the original guy who said the 47% are lazy moochers. He's the disciple of Ayn Rand who said, there are makers and there are takers, Larry. There are producers and there are the parasites. And if we could just stop the parasites, the good people could get on with the job of running this country.
You're making me feel my age. I interviewed Ayn Rand.
What?
Ah, yes. Yes. We'll be right back with Bill Maher. Don't go away.